Welcome to Gemini season, guys. We are going to take a peek at your love life, see how your partner's feeling about you, any important actions you need to take for the month, and overall, I'm just going to cover a couple things as far as major major things going on in astrological, aspects. If you've got some big projects going on, especially if you're seeing this towards the end of anytime in May, before you get to the beginning of June, make sure if you've got some big projects that you're really working on, get things kind of in order and organized. They don't have to be perfect, but there is kind of a wrapping up energy happening that first week in June. So I would recommend, if you have any last minute things that you need to do, just to kind of work on that so that you can be in the best position for that, because apparently whatever it is you're working on has definitely been very important to you and has a pretty big reward for you. So I would definitely check those details. Speaking of checking details, towards the middle of the month, we've got some new things happening. So, I wouldn't make yourself super, super busy at that particular point where you're just kind of overwhelmed. I would just kind of make sure you're double checking those details and don't overdo it, okay? You don't want to overdo yourself during that time. Make sure if you need some grounding, you're doing that. And then we've got some nostalgic stuff kind of happening. Deeper rooted conversations taking place around the 18th of the month. But those are times when I would recommend to stay very mature and realistic with those conversations. I wouldn't exaggerate. I wouldn't, sell yourself up in any kind of a way. I would just stay really practical and realistic in that. And then towards the end of the month, we've got a really good opportunity to just kind of take the lead on certain aspects that you've been, these bigger pieces that you've been working towards, bigger goals, things that you've been really trying to get going. There is going to be kind of an oomph in that direction with a major transit, basically. So when we have those major transits, we've got new opportunities coming. So keep that in mind. The major transit is Mars enters Aries. So that does make sense, just because Aries has a lot to do with those things that you've been pondering on and thinking about, putting all that energy into manifesting, and now we've kind of got some of those answers coming too by the end of the month. So if you've been waiting for some bigger answers, I would say some of them should be coming in by the end of the month. If you want to look at your personal situation, please do so. Remember, this is a general reading, guys, so take with this and leave the rest. All right, let's get into it. Hey Scorpios. Alright, so we're going to go with our first question here, talking about kind of the position that the relationship is in at the moment, and kind of what the energy is surrounding you guys here. And I hope you're having a good month here for June 2021. We have a retrograde coming up, I do know that. I haven't actually mentioned that to anybody, I forgot totally about that. But for some reason, I guess you needed to be reminded of that. Have faith in your dreams. You're like, thanks, Kristen. I really needed to know that, right? Nobody wants to hear and be reminded of retrograde. That's like the suckiest thing ever. But regardless, current relationship. Have faith in your dreams. So whether you're in your perfect scenario or not, staying in that element mentally of, the desire that you're looking for and keeping that kind of in your mind's eye as opposed to the negative stuff is definitely going to be in your favor. So, if you're feeling a little doubtful, then definitely just remind yourself that whatever you want in your reality is going to take a plan. And desiring it is one thing that does have power to it, but also making choices and actions in life to reflect that type of lifestyle is kind of the other half of it. And so just keep that in mind this month when we are talking about kind of the desires that you wish to have in your relationships right now and how you want those to look and the best way for those to come about. You want to have a practical plan that match the desire that you're looking for. And I do believe just being, confident and having faith in the unknown is an important piece to accomplishing that in my experience anyway. How are they feeling about you? Communication and sexuality. So it looks like maybe they're a little bit flip-flop. So maybe for some of you there's more communication than sexuality, and for others of you there's more sex than there's communication, which is probably more like it for a Scorpio. And in that aspect it is a little bit hard to read. It's hard to understand, where, Scorpios kind of what their thought pattern is or what they're thinking. And so your partner might be seeing you as really not communicating a whole lot, or perhaps maybe you're more interested in that sexual aspect and not the communication piece, or vice versa. So depending on your scenario, you can kind of determine, how that resonates. But I get this feeling like, as long as you're kind of upfront about it, like, hey, I know that we haven't had a lot of time to communicate, but, I've had to just kind of, whatever, like, dip out after we have our moments together, or whatever the hell's going on, because I'd be kind of pissed about that. But I do see that there is an opportunity for, the more you do not allow for it, I guess, the more you're kind of like, the more, man, I got my groups mixed up here. So for the Scorpio, the more you're doing that to somebody that you care about, the more they're going to start to kind of give a little bit of a, feel to just kind of their mentality or their vibes. And it's going to take kind of some, hey, let me just put it out there and let you know, sorry, it's been like that. I know we haven't had a lot of time, blah, 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 blah. But it could also be vice versa. So if you are the one that's feeling that way, and you're waiting for this other person to kind of, actually come through with not just wanting, the sexual side, but actually you're actually wanting to communicate. You want to build something. You want to start a relationship. And in that aspect, I do see that maybe making that first step is probably going to be necessary, because communication in this situation is going to be important, and having kind of that courage to just take that first step is going to be beneficial, okay, overall. So 2 different scenarios there, or more than one, depending on. But that is a little bit of pressure, and it does feel like that's, without doing that, I could see where maybe some things might get a little bit more difficult. Obstacles might kind of maintain. But again, those plans for making things work, that's the important piece. Communicating, getting on the same page, whatever. You're wanting, you're wanting to manifest overall what you've been desiring and putting out to the universe. But the only way to do that is to have that practicality in the relationship. So if you're only, 50%ing your energy in the ways that you should be, then obviously that's not going to manifest exactly what you're looking for. Okay. Where is this headed, and how do they feel about you? We've got joy and satisfaction. So I'd say not what they feel about you. Action to take. That's what I meant to say. So it's headed towards joy. It's headed towards a vibration that you guys can be on the same page. But it is going to take